And there you go. You can,
Did that go out?
no.
Okay. Calling the meeting to order and acknowledging that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and St'át'imc nations, and prepared to accept a motion that the agenda be approved.
That the agenda of the meeting be approved.
Thank you, Secretary, for that one. Thank you very much, Cynthia. Any discussion? Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. And we need to adopt some minutes from October 13th.
I can do that. That the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on October the 13th, 2021 be adopted.
Thank you, Secretary, for that. Thank you, Celeste. Moved, seconded. Any opposed to the adoption of those minutes? In that case, we'll declare that carried. And that takes us down to item 3, trustee items. Then are there any for this? On 5.
I may ask Chris to speak to this as well. So attached is the 5-year policy review schedule. We have updated it to, and hopefully everybody's in agreement that we've moved the 200 series to be in January due to the policy chair and the chair of the board not being able to make it today. So another thing I just wanted to mention is that like normally Rebecca and there's some other board members who don't attend this policy meeting. And so we thought because the 200 series is something that affects all board members, that we should have a policy meeting with all board members in attendance. So actually, I guess that should have been under discussion items. But so anyways, we've adjusted the schedule to reflect the moving the 200 series to tentatively till January. And hopefully everyone's okay with that. Any comments?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
The only comment that I'll make about that, Danielle, I've often felt that policy should be a committee of the whole, and many of us do attend. So just something, a comment for the future to consider, certainly for the upcoming review that we'll be doing for sure. But into the future, I think that it's not a bad idea for all of us to attend.
That's great feedback. Anybody else have any concerns or anything with that idea of moving? Okay, great. Did you want to add anything to that, Chris? No? Okay, great. Awesome. So look forward to, we'll probably have an extended either committee of the whole or like a policy meeting with everybody invited in January. Okay, great.
You could keep going because the next item is yours.
Perfect. So we just added the accumulated operating surplus policy to the schedule. And although we just reviewed this policy actually in June and we just approved some amendments to it, there's been a big push from the Ministry of Education to update the current policy. So just to give you an update on this, the Ministry of Education has requested all school districts to have a surplus policy. We already had one, which is great, but they do have some requirements that they need specifically in there, and they're looking for all school districts to have that. So this week, or actually last week, we sent a copy of our policy to the Ministry of Education to look at, and they've done a review of it and they give us some suggestions. So Elena and I will be working on updating that, and then we'll send it back to them to see if it meets what they're looking for. And so depending on when that will be, that's when we'll bring it back to the board for approval. So that's just an update on that.
Thank you. Any questions for Danielle on that? We did have a presentation at the Academy from the ministry on the subject, and it was actually quite interesting. I hope Danielle found it helpful, especially.
Yeah, it was good. That was actually the second time I heard that presentation because I heard it the day before. So
Right.
no, it's good to like hear it over again. So, and now I feel a little bit more clear on what we need to do for that work. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That takes us down to discussion items, and I see that we have Chris and Marilyn's name on the flag lowering policy. So take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. So, you know, as folks know, with the unearthing of the 215 remains at the site in Kamloops, so the residential school, you know, across the region, the province, and in Canada, folks rightly lowered their flags to half-mast, as we did. And then as time passed and questions started coming up about, well, when is the time to raise the flag, and how do we do that in consultation with and in support of our First Nations? What we discovered was that individual boards, if they had existing flag policy, were able to make some decisions independent of the original messaging from the ministry in July, which provided us the date to raise the flag. So I just want to publicly thank Karen LaRochelle's work, our district principal of education, who reached out to her contact at the ministry around this. And then we subsequently received, as a sector, information from the ministry regarding the opportunity for school boards to have their own policy around flag lowering. Now, there are some specific statutes into when we would lower a flag, which we're all familiar with, but there is that opportunity if the board would like to either have some discussion around a board policy in this on this topic of flag lowering, or to and this is what we'll discuss, I hope, turn it over to staff to create a admin procedure and leave it under operations. So what we provided in the package were some examples of school districts, some that had the messaging up in board policy, others that had basically the same language, same information, but down at the operational level. So we just thought it would be great to spend some time if folks had a chance to look at the various versions and to provide some direction to us after your discussion, if you would like to have this as a board policy or as an admin procedure. And from staff perspective, we're absolutely fine either way, and really at the pleasure of the board to either help support our board policy or leave it under operations and make it an admin procedure.
Anybody? Go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. I love that you brought the question to us. My feeling is that this is super operational and that you guys can handle creating something that would be appropriate, but it's really nice that you thought to bring it to us and have that discussion. And, you know, in terms of operational versus board policies, always keeping the board in the loop is something that I think is important. So
Anybody else want to weigh in on this? I'll just say that Celeste pretty much said what I was going to say. Thanks for letting us know. Thanks for the information. We have a great strategic plan and an ed plan, and I know that you guys will be keeping that in mind as you think about a policy or an admin procedure, for that matter, that is consistent with the values that we stand for in the district. So I'm happy with you guys proceeding with that. Anybody have a contrary opinion, or will we regard that as the direction that they were asking for? I guess we will.
All right, thank you very much, and really appreciate the trust that you put in us. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was quick, and we don't have any action items, and I will ask, I guess it's Archie whether, or is it Danielle, whether we have any questions from the public. No. Okay, well, Given that we've concluded the business of this meeting, then I'm going to declare us adjourned. And I'll point out that the next one was supposed to start at, I believe, 1:05, which is 30 minutes from now. And because it's a public meeting and I guess we've advertised the schedule, then we can't actually start it early and save time unless we wanted to leap to the in-camera and get a half an hour of it done or 20 minutes of it done